On the ballot today is a lengthy question asking Chicagoans to vote yes or no on a real estate transfer tax. It's designed to help pay for the city's homeless population. Supporters were out today making their last push for votes. Lexi Suter has more on what they had to say.
Outside a polling place in Rogers Park, several supporters of Question 1 on today's ballot are hoping to garner those last few votes.
It's a small price to pay, I think, to solve a big problem that's going to benefit all Chicagoans.
Alderwoman Maria Haddon is among the supporters of the referendum known as Bring Chicago Home. If voters say yes, that means all properties sold for more than $1 million will face an increased tax. Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration believes that increase could generate $100 million for the city's homeless population. But critics don't necessarily agree with that number. In fact, some people believe the tax will hurt business and even the average Chicagoan.
There's some magic to the $1 million number, I know, in people's minds, but it actually impacts things that folks usually wouldn't associate with that number, like multi-unit apartment buildings.
Supporters say corporate landlords will be the ones impacted if this tax increase does go through. But the Civic Federation, a nonpartisan group, has analyzed the proposal and is drawing attention to the significant points that supporters haven't publicly accounted for, like a possible impact to the city's economy.
Downtown, storefronts, commercial storefronts. State Street, 30% empty. Gold Coast, 30% empty. These are numbers that we have not seen before in contemporary times. So you add all of these things up and you put an added burden that's focused on that particular vulnerable segment.
Government is here to solve these big problems. This is a path of a solution that we found in order to create $100 million in revenue.
In just a few more hours, we'll know which way the city voted. Lexi Suter, NBC 5 News.
We're back here at 4:30 on this election day. A decades-long tradition has candidates gathering for lunch at Mannys Deli. However, today there was one important Democrat who boycotted the event.
Political reporter Marianne Ahern has the story and the reason why this is so significant, Marianne.
Absolutely. It is just one of those longtime traditions. Toni Preckwinkle is not only the Cook County Board President, she is also the chair of the Cook County Democratic Party, but Preckwinkle did not show up because some of those with ties to Mannys Deli voiced support for Eileen O'Neill Burke for Cook County State's Attorney, and not Clayton Harris, who Preckwinkle endorsed.
Oh, how exciting.
If it's election day in Chicago, then it must be Mannys Deli. That's where politicians have gathered for years, often running into their opponent.
You've always just got to take the high road. Say hello, say good luck, may the best person win. But we shouldn't break tradition because your feelings are hurt.
The room was certainly full, but the one person you did not see today was Toni Preckwinkle, who refused to share the room with those who support State's Attorney candidate Eileen O'Neill Burke. Instead, Preckwinkle chose to bring her endorsed candidates, like Clayton Harris, to Valois in Hyde Park.
All right, you got your shots. Can we eat?
All right.
As for Mannys, they posted on social media their desire to stay neutral, and members of the Illinois Restaurant Association came to Mannys to show support.
Mannys was kind of Switzerland on all the issues, so they're not controversial at all, so I don't think a statement should have been made.
One who has tangled with Preckwinkle in the past, Circuit Court Clerk Iris Martinez. She was especially critical.
If they don't agree with the dictatorship that's going on, then guess what? Businesses end up getting hurt by it.
It wasn't all Democrats in the room. Bob Fioretti, who is the Republican nominee for State's Attorney, was here. And in the end, at the last minute, State's Attorney candidate Harris adjusted his schedule to work in Mannys, albeit without Preckwinkle.
I have no idea about that at all. I know that I'm here and that we had a great sandwich and that we're moving forward with the election. So it's a great day.
I don't know anybody who would pass on Mannys on election day, so I feel bad for anybody who's not here today.
Well, Mannys, it ended up with a very large crowd, even without Preckwinkle. But why is this significant? Clearly, after tonight, the Democrats are going to have some fence mending to do within the party before November.
Interesting to see that divide in different restaurants.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's always something, isn't there?
It makes it fun.
It does make it fun.
Pastrami in politics. Thank you, Marianne.
Thanks, Marianne.
And a side of potato pancakes.
That too. Oh, I had that too.
Absolutely.
Well, it is primary election day here in Illinois. One of the key contests that we're watching is the Democratic race for Cook County State's Attorney.
That's right. Clayton Harris and Eileen O'Neill Burke both vying for the nomination to replace Kim Foxx. NBC5's Regina Waldrop live in the Loop this evening, talking to voters about this race. Regina?
Stephen and Allison, this is definitely one of the races in the spotlight. Now, one of the candidates has the backing of the Democratic Party. The other has the backing of big money donors. We caught up with both of them and voters today as they were making their final Election Day push. In the race to lead the nation's second largest prosecutor's office, we asked some voters what's important to them.
Fairness, because being tough on crime is not really working. Because if tough on crime was working, why are so many back on the street?
Well, I guess crime is the issue that's top of mind for me because it affects so many different things.
Clayton Harris III and Eileen O'Neill Burke competing in the Democratic primary to succeed outgoing Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx. Harris is a college professor and former prosecutor who's held several government posts. He has the party backing. He says he wants to beef up the office's special prosecutions unit and improve communication with police. He says he's a different person with different ideas and plans to chart his own course in the office.
What we're talking about is a new administration on what's coming in. I am going to continue some of the policies that Kim Foxx, they've been nationally replicated. So that's the right thing to do. But I'm going to put my stamp on the office. So we're focusing on both safety and justice.
Eileen O'Neill Burke is a retired former judge and former prosecutor. She says she decided to run for the office because the justice system is not working. She says her tough-on-crime approach is needed to curb persistent gun violence, carjackings, and elevated armed robberies. If elected, she says she'd continue restorative justice efforts for young people and credited Fox with diversifying the workforce.
I think we can have a fair, effective, professional prosecutor's office, and that's the change that people want, competent government.
So when it comes to fundraising, Burke has raked in more than $3 million. Harris a little more than $1.2 million in donations. The winner tonight will face Bob Fioretti, and that happens in November. We're live in the Loop. Regina Waldrop, NBC5 News. Now back to you.
Waiting for those results to come in. Thanks, Regina.
Big election news tonight, low voter turnout. Still some time, though, for you to head to the polls. And the early election numbers show that young voters are once again the age group with the lowest turnout.
That comes as there is a push in Chicago to get young people involved in civics early. NBC5's Kate Chappell has the story.
Vianney Reyes is working as a translator and student election judge at Enlace School in Little Village. She's not old enough to vote yet, but is looking forward to casting her first ballot as a first-generation American.
Every small opinion makes an impact, and I feel like if I say my voice, it's me representing of those people who can't. For example, my mother.
She's one of 1,100 high school students from 110 schools serving as judges in Tuesday's primary, working alongside college students and adult judges at polling places across Chicago.
Our mission is focused on developing young people to be informed, active, and engaged citizens.
For nearly 25 years, the nonprofit, nonpartisan group Mikvah Challenge has partnered with the Chicago Board of Elections to recruit and train high school students to work at polling places.
We believe that the earlier they are exposed to our election process, the more likely that they are to vote when it is time.
And for many young people, it's the first time they've seen a ballot or voting in person.
Is this the first time you've seen a ballot?
Yes. It's honestly easier than I thought. I thought it was way more papers and a longer process, but it's actually pretty simple.
Chicago data shows the 18 to 24 age group continues to vote at far lower rates than older Americans, often, according to the Chicago Board of Elections, because young voters are candidate or issue driven.
Youth feel disengaged very frequently, right? Especially in Chicago, we've seen that the youth don't feel that they have a voice.
But youth turnout can make a big difference. A surge of voters under age 35 turned out for last year's mayoral runoff election that secured Brandon Johnson's victory.
You get to learn a lot about your community, and it also feels good to know that you're helping people.
In Little Village, Kate Chappell, NBC5 News.